Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the HerStory Online Summit, day 8. I was going to say 9. Day 8. This is Gertrude Matcha here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today I am graced with a lineup of just the most amazing women from all over the world. Please introduce yourselves. We'll go row by row. Selena.
Hi, I'm Selena Chisha. I'm a health coach, speaker, and an author. I am in Birmingham, UK. It's so amazing to be here. Thank you.
Wonderful. Hey.
Hello, everybody. I am Kay Johnson, the Vibe Master. I am located in the United States. I am the founder and CEO of Inspired Bosses, a movement that is dedicated to millennials rising in health and confidence, but mostly in their well-being. So I'm excited. I'm an author of 2 books, Beginner's Vibe Guide and The Ultimate Hustler. And I'm just excited to be here with so many powerful women and be connected to Miss Gertrude, who is dynamic and super in so many ways. And so, hello, wherever you are, all over, and welcome.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Kathy Ann Roach and I am hailing, I feel like the Miss Universe competition from the, competing with all these lovely, powerful women. And I live on the island of Trinidad and Tobago. I'm a life coach and I'm really happy to just be a part of this community and excited about everything that we're going to do here.
In a burger, in the house.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Rose is still trying to help someone get in. So let's jump to the next person.
Hi, my name is Trina Cavanaugh Thomas, and I'm an intuitive mind and body coach. I help you tune into you. And it's so beautiful to be here today because there's just so many beautiful people. Selena, I've not seen you in ages, and we do need to catch up again. I know I did get stuck in my degree and stuff. But yeah, it's just beautiful just to share the word of how empowering it is when you tune into your body and recognize that you are amazing as you are.
Wonderful. Assessa.
Kia ora, tēnā koutou. My name is Narcissa Medvedev. I live in New Zealand, mastered in New Zealand. Unlike all you wonderful, I'm sure, influential and beautiful women, I'm just a mum. But I am a survivor, so I was invited by my dear friend Gertrude. Funnily enough, we met in film school many years ago. And she always connects with me. She never lets me forget who I am, and she invited me today. So kia ora, everybody.
Lovely to have you here, sis.
Yeah,
Paula.
not just your mom. You are
I'm glad you got the message, Paula. I know you were on the other link. Do you want to come on camera so everybody can meet you? Or just say where you are? Okay, I think she's getting ready. So we'll get started with our first speaker. So we will all exit from the stage and allow, oops, did I take her off? Sorry. You're the first speaker and I'm taking you off the stage. Okay, wonderful. The beautiful Trina. Trina is an intuitive mind, body, spirit coach. Trina, you're going to introduce yourself because now the bio was on the other link. I don't have it, but have fun. We'll see you in 15 minutes. And we're here listening, so you're not alone.
Thank you so much. I am truly grateful. Hopefully you don't hear my kids in the background because this is very last minute. And I was not expecting to be here tonight, but You know what? Sometimes we have opportunities where we need to say yes, and we need to tune into ourselves and go with those messages that our body is saying to us. Now, I teach a lot of people about feeling into their health, feeling into what it feels like for you, whether it's certain types of foods, whether it's through movement, and whether it's through any spiritual journey that you are taking on. I love, love, love what I do, but it's not been easy. My journey, my spiritual journey, hasn't been the type of spiritual journey that you have from a child and your whole family has gone through a whole spiritual journey. My spiritual journey started 4 years ago. And it was almost like a little crash bang wallop. You see, I always believe you need to be really careful what you wish for in life, but what you're asking for. However, it does turn out well in the end. But at the time, it didn't feel great because I was asking a question. I want a better health. I want better health. I want my health to feel better. I want to feel happier. I want to feel great. As a personal trainer, I did not feel great. In fact, I was drinking quite a lot. I was drinking more than what I needed to, that's for sure. I was eating quite a lot too. I was at every single party. Every party I'd be there, and I'd stay for even longer than what I needed to. However, these parties take their toll, not just on me, on my body, on my life, on my children. I was drinking away our money, every bit of money that came in. And it was not easy. Do you remember how I said, when you ask questions, be careful what you wish for? Well, I was asking for better health. And the universe sent me basically a kick up the bum. One night I went to a friend's party and I drank way too much. And I ate some brownies, so to speak. And I ended up having the biggest panic attack of my life. I could not take it anymore. I was screaming in front of people at this party. So much so, I ran upstairs, locked myself in the bathroom, and laid on the floor. I felt so much shame as I sat there the next morning. And for the first time, I don't know if you've ever done this, you said, I'm never going to drink again. And I said, I'm never going to drink again. And I meant it. I meant it. I had to. I messaged one of my spiritual friends and she turned around and said, no one is going to help you now. And that was really tough. I was triggered. But don't worry, it got better. My life got better. Because after stopping the drinking, I started to realise that a food wasn't suiting me. The first food, which was gluten. I started realising, ouch, my stomach really hurts. No longer was the alcohol numbing the pain from the food that I was eating. So it came to a point of, do I carry on hurting myself? So I stopped. It wasn't easy. I kept going back and then the same thing kept happening. But I started to feel better in myself as well. I started sleeping better. Started doing things more, being more consistent. But then I started to notice that my skin was itchy as well after I gave up the gluten. I kind of wondered what it was. So I tuned into my body and realised as I saw sugar pouring out of my spots. So the next thing to let go of at Christmas, which is the worst time of year to get rid of food actually, especially sugar, was sugar. I didn't give up for long though. It was so hard. It wasn't until August in 2019 that I finally gave up sugar. Now, I would say that was a very easy story, but remember, I asked for better health, and the universe only shows me in the way that it knows is a kick up the bum. So I ended up having a panic attack after eating a load of beautiful, sugary, gluten-free donuts. I had a massive panic attack and I locked myself in the car. Little did I know at that time, before I was going into a scientific realm, that sugar gives us peaks and troughs. And that peak raised my anxiety so high and dropped me back down again. But I want to move forward a bit. Because feeling into your health isn't as easy. However, it's simple. It wasn't easy for me. I was avoiding. I was being defensive. And I certainly wasn't listening to the universe until the universe gave me a kick up the bum. And all we want sometimes is to be listened to in life. All I wanted was to be listened to. All my body wanted was to be listened to. It wasn't until I realized all that time I wanted someone to listen to me that I realized I wasn't even listening to myself. Because I was always triggered. I was triggered from change. No, I couldn't do that. I don't want to do that. I didn't know that there was a physiology going on inside me where I was triggered. Because what happens with our body is when we're triggered, we feel a sensation first, and our nervous system sends an impulse to the brain. This triggers a feeling. Now, the feeling triggers a memory, because it's never really the person who's triggering us or what they're saying. It's a memory. And the memory triggers thought and emotion. Sometimes that's based on a belief. You know, you can't do that. You're no good at that. Why would you want to do that for? And that belief signals a behavior. Sometimes it's physical movement, not getting out of bed when the alarm goes off to go out for a walk or something, or deciding not to listen, putting our defenses up, not trusting, getting defensive, running away. I was consistently running away. The feeling was, from that first moment with that trigger, was that someone would say something to me, you need to do this. You know, you need to stop drinking. It's really destroying your health. You need to stop hurting yourself. You need to stop doing all those things to yourself. But my memories were, you can't do that. You're not good enough. You're not good enough. And it came with lots of fears. I was scared. And the more scared I was, the more I would emotionally eat. And I just never recognized that in me. because this is my body. However, I have to say, life is completely different. If it wasn't for those moments, those peoples, those times, I wouldn't be sat here now. I wouldn't be happy as I am now. My life has changed so much. I'm less tired. I'm more consistent. I'm always smiling. But most of all, my body is inside. She's so happy. It doesn't mean, though, that you need to do the same. Because this is my story. Everyone's health is different. What may suit me may not suit you. But when we tune into our body, we truly get to become best friends. Best friends with the person who has always held our back, always looked after us, and always seen that we are so much better than we ever felt, that we've ever been told that we are. Thank you.
Wow, 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 wow. Okay, let me just bring everybody back.
Yeah, no worries.
And yeah, well done. I think it's just where's the rest of us?
Thank you.
Thanks,
Okay.
Selena.
All right.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you for
Selena, you have to
having me.
operate the room.
Thank you.
Yeah, amazing. Well
So
done, well
you
done.
you snapped out of a state you were in, and how do you feel now? How are things going for you now?
Massively better. Massively. You know, I can't even, I mean, for me, it's opened up my energy channels massively. You know, I wasn't listening. And I can't ever, ever express to anyone the difference. Because, I mean, obviously, 11 years ago, super fit, personal trainer, for many years, teaching classes and things. And there is no feeling to how I feel now, because then we have such a different idea of what fitness is. Sometimes we feel like it's just eating and moving,
Yes,
but it's so much more than that. It's just like a bigger holistic scale going on. Truly listening to ourselves, because I mean, I've over-exercised as well, and I was not listening when I was over-exercising as a PT. So I would say, if it wasn't for what happened, I would not be doing my degree. I would not be, working towards what I'm working towards. So I'm truly, truly grateful. And I'm grateful to be able to share that experience with you guys.
thank
Fantastic.
you. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments, everyone, for Trina before she goes to sleep? Raise your hand.
Not be silly.
Yes, Nasessa.
Trina, I enjoyed your comment or your talk immensely. You even touched parts of me that I had to contain myself and not cry. So thank you so much. It's so inspiring, and I'll be looking at my health in probably a little bit of a different way from now on. I have a lot of medical problems, so I'm hoping that maybe examining other aspects of my health is, and my how my mind thinks, what I put into my body, that it'll improve. Thank you.
Wow. It's so beautiful. And you know what? I have to say to you, you're such a beautiful person. You're not just a mom, as Selena was saying. You're so much more. So much more. Beautiful energy. Such a beautiful energy. Please do reach out. Stay connected. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Trina, I really liked you describing how you overcame the alcohol and drinking so much, and then the sugar, because it relates to me right now. I'm really tapping into my spiritual self and evolving and trying to let go of some things that I eat that's not really good for my health. So thank you for sharing, because I don't feel like I can get rid of sugar.
You know what? It just depends whether you're ready, or whether you need to. That's the thing. Whether you need to, whether you're ready, whatever it is, everyone's different. Like as I said right at the end, my body is different to someone else's. But I know that for me, what I was getting was I was eating sugar, and then for about 3 days, I'd have really awful imposter syndrome. So 3 days afterwards, I'll have awful imposter syndrome. And then when I ate a lot of it, then I would have massive panic attacks. So I've kind of looked at more excuse my son in the
Oh,
back.
no, that's fine.
Whereas I went off to non-refined sugars instead. So not having refined sugars anymore.
So
I
how
actually
did you track?
using-
You mentioned tracking it a little bit. How can you, or what would you tell someone who may think this not sugar? It could be something else. It's not sugar. How do we start tracking what's really affecting us when it comes to the mind and the body?
So for me in particular is that, sorry, my son is like going, mummy, mummy, mummy. I'll be 2 seconds. I'll give you all my undivided attention, love.
Can share biscuit.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, go. They can share a biscuit. So that's all he wanted to know. Can I share a biscuit? Yes, you can share a biscuit. The one thing that I mainly do is that I sit with myself in silence. That's one thing. And I sometimes visualize as well, because I'm very visual in terms of learning.
Me too.
So I can sit with myself, and you might be able to do this as well, Kay, is that you sit with yourself and you close your eyes and you visualize your body and you visualize where you feel it. Whatever's going on in your body, find the source of it and then open it up, almost like doing some kind of psychological surgery on yourself.
Yeah.
Open it up and see what's inside.
Okay.
And that was one of the things. I was just visualizing the spots on my body. I opened them up, and then all of a sudden sugar was like pouring out, and I was thinking, and then I gave up the sugar, the spots went.
Did you see a change in your skin and everything as well?
Absolutely. And if you can introduce, like, say, other sweet things, like dates, very sweet. Dates. A lot of people will say maple syrup because from a scientific perspective, it's lower on the GI scale, so glycemic index. So that means how fast your sugar rises. So what you'll get is sugar will do peaks and troughs, and maple syrup kind of rises slower, so you don't have like the full on emotional, like, oh my god, everything is going wrong, that type of thing.
So we shouldn't give our children sugar really early on, do you think?
You know what? I would be very hypocritical if I said I didn't give my kids sugar. The one thing that I've taught myself to do, which I never did because I had a very much a lack mentality when it came to food and things, and I grew up in a way that food was very limited, and even in science, but also in many other factors as well. If we take away things, people only want them more because you feel like you can't have them. And same goes for food as well. If there's little food in the house, you'll find that you'll want to binge on things more. However, if you have it in the house all the time, for children in particular, they learn to self-regulate. So they could eat as much chocolate as they want to, throw up, but they will never eat it again as much. Because it's called self-regulation. You're teaching a child to know their own body.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that. I could ask a million questions. I won't take time.
Please, no, please do reach out. I'd love to stay in contact with every one of you anyway. So yeah, that'd be lovely.
Trina, thank you so much. We're going to move on to
Trina.
our next speaker just for the sake of time. We have somebody who has to go. Miss Rose, Riley Rose, I know you have family coming. It's Thanksgiving in the US. So you're going to be our next speaker. Selena, if you can help me get everybody off stage.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Trina. If you want to hang out
Thank
with
you,
us
Trina.
around.
No, Rose is speaking. Okay.
Okay, there it goes. Sorry, I was on mute. So I just introduced myself. Is that basically it? My name is Riley Rose Mckesson. I'm a writer, publisher, and a producer. I created a biracial female superhero. And it was all about my inspiration of wanting to write and tell stories, representative of a community of people of color, specifically a woman. Was a big fan of Nichelle Nichols and Star Trek, and followed that world for many, many years. Star Trek did something revolutionary, and it introduced diversity during the time of civil rights struggle here, and reaching out to an audience protesting war. Gene Roddenberry was able to create a interracial crew, or a crew of different races and aliens that were on equal footing, representing the different struggles that were going on around the world. And he was able to lend a platform for what was going on in the civil rights struggle through this world, because it was under the umbrella of In a World of Science Fiction. So studio executives didn't pay much attention to what was being written, what was being said. That dialogue did a lot of things. It introduced the first interracial kiss. It really brought what was going on in terms of how unjust the world was at that time, in the midst of civil rights. And Nichelle Nichols was going to leave Star Trek. She wanted to go on Broadway, and Gene Roddenberry asked her to reconsider. She ended up landing at a civil rights meeting where she met Martin Luther King. And he was a big fan of the show, of the series, and he explained to her that it was the only television show that he would let his children watch. And he encouraged her not to leave, because she was doing something amazing. For the first time, everyone was seeing this Black woman on television in an equal position and an equal footing with everyone else that was on that crew. It was revolutionary. Whoopi Goldberg has talked about it. It's why she was interested in working with Star Trek. So, like a lot of stories, they tend to lean in one direction. And I wanted to introduce something original. I also co-produced the documentary, the Green Girl movie, which was about the first green girl in Star Trek. And we won several awards at a number of the film festivals. And my books have hit the bestseller list. But more than anything, it's all about lending a playing field, lending a story, um, telling these stories of inequity, and also just people who love to be taken away into a world of fiction that involves everyone, that embraces all different races, all different colors, all different types of people. We all deserve that same equal footing. And that's pretty much my story. I have a blog. Right now, I'm having some uh, difficulties with my server, but it should be up at the end of this Thanksgiving weekend. We took it down right before. I get about 130,000 clicks a month, and I'm also a part of the She Media Network. She Media is a part of PMC, which is Variety and Rolling Stones, and um, I write specifically on television and film, telling or reviewing these stories as they come out, stories of interest to me and to my audience. Um, my website, which will be up, like I said, which will be back up after this weekend, is RileyRoseMckesson.com. And that's everything.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much, Rose.
Sure.
Now, the other thing you forgot to tell people is that you are one of our main editors for the Her Story movement. So people should be aware that who's missing? I can see somebody's not with us. There we go.
That's me.
So this whole Star Trek movement made an impression on you.
It did.
How old were you?
I was coming home from elementary school. It was in reruns at the time. Star Trek had originally launched in the early 60s. It was in reruns when I found it. And I would come home every day after school, and I watched it faithfully.
So when you say elementary school, roughly how old were you?
Oh, I was 6, 7.
Okay. And it made that much of an impression. It carried you through to adulthood and turned into a career.
Yes.
Absolutely fascinating. And this is the power of storytelling in films.
Yes.
The impact they can have on children.
Most
Wow. Necessa, you're a filmmaker. Any questions for Rose?
I guess I just want to say I know how you felt about Star Trek, because Star Trek was actually one of my favorites growing up and into teenager, into adult even. I've watched probably, the original is always my favorite with William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy, I think it is. But I've watched pretty much all the different types that they came out with. It actually probably helped form the kind of movies and things that I watch these days on Netflix. And so you're a filmmaker too, Gertrude, so don't put me on the spot like that. But yeah, thank you very much for your corridor. As you were talking, I was reliving some of my favorite episodes of Star Trek. So I never really looked at it, in the way they, the civil rights and all that. And I found it really interesting. I mean, I was just a sci-fi fan, but now when I think about it and what you were talking about, I'm like, wow, because I never looked at it like that. So thank you very much for enlightening me to that. I'm going to go back and watch some more now and see what I can find out.
And there's a new series, Star Trek Discovery, and for the first time we have a black captain.
Yes, we do.
Actually, she has some African, direct African descent. She's part Ethiopian.
Wow.
Oh, fantastic.
This is her 4th season. So that's pretty amazing. The reviews have been incredible. Mm-hmm. Strong leader. Nice to see.
Awesome. Thank you, Rose. Any other questions, comments for Rose, ladies? I'm going to ask you, if you're not speaking, to mute yourselves so we don't get background noise and feedback. Any other comments before we release Rose? I know she has to go. She has family who've just come to visit.
Rose, I have to say that was amazing. You know, I just didn't realize that the storylines were like that. I mean, I'm a Star Wars fan,
Okay.
and and I can definitely see like some of the things that you're talking about, even within that film series as well. But I just think it's just so beautiful how you've created something so powerful. Wow, I'd love to find out more about your what you do, and especially because I'd love to share something like that with my kids. So yeah, I just think
Thank
wonderful.
you. Thank you. Yeah.
Leave your information in the chat for us, Rose. So
Okay, I will. And
awesome.
Thank
it should be
you.
up by Monday. Thank you.
Selena, you have a question?
Now I just wanted to comment for Rose. Anyway, thank you, Rose, for that. And it's just power to women. You feel, I mean, it was amazing you sharing that. And mostly it's men's business. But, just to find a woman being there and excited about it. Oh, well done.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
I appreciate the support. Thank you guys. You guys have a great weekend.
Thank you for sharing.
Keep
Okay.
on
Enjoy
keeping on,
you.
Rose.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Take care. Bye. Now, I'm going to try an experiment, ladies. I have a speaker waiting for us on Zoom. I've never done this before. So, Miss Judy, you're still there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. So let me try and see if I can share the screen. I've never done it. So this may or may not work, Miss Judy. If it fails, then we will bring you back on tomorrow. Share screen. Window. I can't seem to share Zoom.
Because the camera is being used by StreamYard. So Zoom normally doesn't allow. I tried it before and it couldn't work.
But I can't even see Zoom on the share function.
Oh.
I can see everything in the web browser, but not Zoom. So Miss Judy, we might have to, because I do want you to be on screen. I want people to see your beautiful face as you present. I mean, you could present and people can just hear you, but I don't think it's the same.
Yes.
So shall we connect after I'm finished? In the meantime, try and download the Chrome browser. I put it for you on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Download that in the meantime. And then when I'm finished with today's summit, I'll connect with you and we'll see that it works so that tomorrow we're prepared.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Would that be tomorrow the same time?
Yes, tomorrow, same time.
Yes. Uh-huh.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you.
I'll see you tomorrow.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, ladies. So Miss Judy is 82 and was technically challenged there. She's got an amazing story. So thank you for your patience. All right. Who will we have next? Anybody has a priority and has to leave early? Paula, I told you I didn't have the schedule because Rose is down today. She doesn't have power. So maybe we'll have you, Katyan, first and then Paula.
Okay. Yes, okay.
Okay. So Miss Selena, if you can help me remove people from stage.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. Just seeing myself, so I have to imagine your smiling faces on the other end of the screen. My name is Kathy Ann Roach, and I am a life coach. I live on the twin island of Trinidad and Tobago, and we are the home of Calypso, Steel Band, and Carnival. I'm sure you've heard about Carnival, and the biggest street party in the world is really in Trinidad. I would say that I am not the average Trini because I don't hang out or lime as much as the rest of the people in this country. But one of the things that I do enjoy is the free sun, sea, and sand. Like I said, I'm a life coach, and it's really fitting for me because I have always been interested in people, in figuring out, what makes us tick. Why are we the way that we are? Why do we do the things that we do? But I'm especially interested in how our relationships, the relationships that we have with others, how they shape our sense of who we are and how we show up in the world. And on top of that, my real passion as far as it comes to our relationships lies in the idea or the study of our romantic relationships. Yes, our love relationships. So let me tell you a little story about, I guess, the first love story that I was witness to, which was my mom and my dad. Like yesterday, I was telling the team, and I spoke a little bit about myself, and Gertrude was talking about her projects in Grenada. My mother is from the island of Grenada, and my dad, of course, is Trinidadian. My mother lived in a really small community in Grenada, and one of the things that she always tells me is that when she looked around, her mother worked in what you would call the cocoa fields in Grenada. You know where you get all your chocolates from? Well, the original fruit is the cocoa seed, cocoa bean. And my mother would see her mother going to work, I guess, living this very simple life, living in going to work in the plantation. And my mom said that was not the life that she wanted to have. She wanted to have a better life. So at that point in time, a lot of people from the islands were traveling abroad to England. England had, allowed, had this big migration, and a lot of my mother's siblings went to England. But my mother decided that she wanted to come to Trinidad, which she felt was closer to her mother. If anything were to happen to her mother, she would go back to it would be easy for her to go back to Grenada. So she came to Trinidad. She was around 28 years of age. And then in a really, after a couple of months, as she told me, she felt that, she wasn't getting jobs. She didn't feel that things were working out. So she wanted to go back home. But one of her friends said, no, there's this man I want to introduce you to. There's this person that I want you to meet. So lo and behold, she went to meet this man. He was older. My father was 13 years older than my mother. So he was around 41 at that time. Very simple man. Didn't have a lot of money, but they fell in love. And my mother they got married. And it was really it was really what you would consider an arranged marriage. It's like, here's this girl, here's this man. Do you like each other? Okay, yes, we do. And that was their relationship. And then they had me. And I can tell you that their relationship was, I guess, like I said, my first love story. I never saw my mother and father fight or argue. I saw a lot of shared ideals. My father was, in my mind, the perfect father. I was a real daddy's girl. I saw them share responsibility in the house. I saw days when my father would be cooking in the kitchen and my mother would be washing. We were not rich people, but we were rich. I would say we were rich in love. And then my father got ill, and my father died when I was 11 years of age. My father was 53 when he died. So my mother, like I said, 13 years younger, was quite young when my father passed. And my mother decided that my father was perfect man. And to this day, all of these many years later, my mother has not remarried and continues to say that my father was the last good man on the face of the earth. I laugh because that means I probably don't have a chance of finding a good one if that's the case. But I saw real, genuine love and commitment in these two people. In my own relationships, like I said, I wasn't that lucky. And many of us aren't either. Many of us struggle to find this fairy tale idea of the one. But I've come to realize that in our relationships, romantic or otherwise, these relationships come to teach us about who we are and what we want in this life. At the end of every relationship, I believe that there is something to learn. There is growth at the end of every relationship. And I know that a heartbreak, I talk to many women who are heartbroken because their relationship has ended. Many women who feel that something is wrong with them because they're alone or because they're single or because a relationship that they put their trust in didn't work out. They feel as though, or we can sometimes feel as though there's something wrong with us. But I view it as an opportunity to figure out who you are, to explore and reveal another layer of yourself. I believe that at the end of a relationship, you don't have to come out of it bitter, but you can come out of it better. So for everything that happens, I question as to the why, the what I did, what I could have done better. And every time I'm able to reveal a new and better and brighter layer of myself. And this is the same that I teach to the women that I coach. I tell them, take the time between relationships. Yes, we all want to find that person, to have that relationship, and that's fine. And for those who find it, we are happy and we celebrate. But that's just one aspect of life. There's so many other relationships that can be equally as fulfilling in terms of this life and the joy that we can get out of this life. So I say, if you are coming out of a relationship or if you've been out of a relationship for a while, it doesn't say that something is wrong with you. It's your opportunity to be the best version of that you can be. It's your opportunity to explore who you are and what you want. It's your opportunity to look and see what are the lessons that I could learn about myself. And some of the lessons that I have learned that I would want to share with you is that I want you to know that it's okay to be alone. There's okay to not have the one. There's so many other people in your life that you can be grateful for. There's so many connections that we can all make that can fill these so-called voids that we form from not having this perfect thing, this fairy tale, this story that we tell ourselves. I tell women that do your work, fix the areas of yourself that are broken so that you show up as your true and authentic self, and then know that you are priceless. Know what you bring to a relationship, know what you bring to the table, so that if there is someone who decides to walk away, it's going to be their loss because you know who you are. Know that you are priceless and know that you determine your price. Nobody determines your price. There's a little analogy that I give all the time. I said, if you walk into, I was telling my son recently, I said, if you walk into a garage or a car showroom and there are two vehicles there, they're both worth $1 million. And you pick one, you say, okay, I want this one over that one. I said, do you think that the car left is going to be trashed? Do you think the store owner is going to say, oh, this person picked that one and they didn't pick you, so therefore your value has diminished? I said, no, it just wasn't the car that you wanted, but it doesn't mean that the value is diminished. And I tell women the same thing. Even if a relationship ends, it doesn't mean, or somebody left, it doesn't mean that your value is diminished. You set your value because you know the work that you've done and the work that you continue to do to bring the best version of yourself to the table. That's my story.
Oops. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Wow, amazing is that. Oops. Is everybody back? Selena. There we go. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you for having me.
Very, very insightful, the value that we put on ourselves as women in particular.
Yes. Yes.
The car analogy is good. It's very, very visual.
Yes.
Very,
Very
very
clear.
graphic.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I mean, I found, can I just, it's just comment?
Sure.
Sorry. I mean, I found that, most of us, we don't learn how to love ourselves.
Yes.
We expect love from outside.
Yes.
So it's like, that's why, I mean, I share with people as well that, first love yourself, fall in love with yourself,
Yes.
with your, like if you're not enough, you feel unworthy, just fall in love with that.
Mhm.
Then you attract the, the love you want.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
think.
people is one time, I'm sorry. So
Go
you
ahead.
can go ahead. One time
Yeah.
I had my ex, my current boyfriend, and somebody I had left again. It was my daughter's graduation. So I heard a couple of women saying, how can somebody have 3 men at one time? And some of us, we don't have anything. And I looked at them. I said, that's my father, my daughter's father. And this one is my boyfriend. That one is a friend. Yes, we are not together anymore, but he's a friend. So I can't say don't come when he has been supportive in my life.
Yeah.
So sometimes people don't think always it's just physical. I have to have him to hold him. But it's not. I'm in love with myself. I don't care what other people think.
Yeah. And I tend to say, I've looked at that and I've asked myself, why is that so hard? Why is it so hard to love yourself? And I
Yeah.
realized that we are conditioned with external validation. From the time we're babies, there's somebody coming and looking and saying, oh, this baby is so cute. You walk 2 steps, somebody will say, yay, look, you walking. You spit up your food. Oh my God, that's so beautiful. There's so much external validation that comes. And then after a while, it just stops coming. And all of the negatives start coming. You start hearing about how you look, and yes, there's so much that now is critical about you that you've never learned to just look that love for self can come because it's always been external. So it does take us a long time to make that shift to say, okay, you know what? I believe that I am worthy of love. I believe that I'm okay. I believe that I deserve this. It is a shift from what the world has conditioned us to look for this satisfaction outside of ourselves.
Very
Yeah.
true.
Thank you.
Any other comments, feedback, ladies? I used to take myself out on dates. I would go to the beach with 2 glasses of wine and a bottle and sit there, and I would take these romantic pictures and post them on Facebook, and people are like, where are you? Who are you with? Meanwhile, I was by myself, just serenading myself and imagining the day that I would be with somebody.
That's so cute. That's great. I love that.
I'm with you, Gertrude, on taking
love
yourself
that.
on dates and taking
Yes.
yourself away, and it's the best thing ever. You just reconnect with yourself so much and just find out exactly what you want. Especially, one of my friends gifts me a house to stay in every so often, and it's just nice because it's so quiet. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to watch Christmas movies all day. I'm going to wear a Christmas jumper and I'm just going to do nice things. You know what? I just love everything that you've just said. And funnily enough, me and my husband's 53 and I'm 13 years younger. And I was just listening about your mum and dad and I was just, how beautiful.
Yeah.
Just wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and everything that you said afterwards as well, all the breakups and things, you do discover a part of you.
Yeah.
You do discover, and you can snatch that part of you back as well. You can take that power back.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Yes.
Love it.
Cessa, I can see you're wanting to jump in here.
I just I've had a couple of relationships in my life, and I have immediately felt myself want to tear up when you started to talk about your mother and father. I never thought that I had problems with relationships, but I guess when I think about it in terms of my beginning of life, my mother died when I was 1, and I never knew my father. So I guess, they say that's where it starts, your journey in life. And I'm only just realizing now at the age of 52 that I need to have a relationship with myself, and I need to discover myself and my self-worth and who I am.
Yes.
So this is part of my joining you, a beautiful woman today, not only to be empowered by your stories, but, to get in touch with myself. And by listening to your stories, that's exactly what's happening. So thank you.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, a
Yes.
lot of that resonated with me as well. You think about relationships, they show you, they mirror who you are, where you've been, or where you're going. And
Yeah.
so, me being a young woman who has had heartbreaks or massive heartbreaks, what they felt like, it really does something to your brain. It's like it's actual pain. And
Yes.
so, refining that pain and repurposing that pain has been something that's been great for me. And it's good to see that it's working for other women as well, as you guys are birthing purpose and conceiving what you
Yes.
call projects and movements for your communities and other women like us. So I definitely have been enjoying everything every speaker is saying and the feedback. So thank you.
Yes. Yes.
And we have to also be very, very mindful that all of these emotional upheavals in our lives do affect your health in a very, very big way.
Correct.
When I went through my divorce, separation, married for 27 years, and suddenly my life was gone. And I ended up collapsing with heart failure. So I literally had a broken heart. So being aware where that energy is going in your body, it has to come out.
Mm.
And it comes out in the form of illness. Women get cancer,
Ooh.
heart issues, high blood pressure. We have to really be aware of what our emotions are doing to our physical systems.
Yes.
Yeah, because we're holding that in our wombs because we're
Yes.
women. So when you hold all of that dead weight in that womb, we create the life force from a weighted position or a lacking position or a insecure position. And so one of those things I've been working on personally is, okay, let's pay attention to the womb and what's being created from in its spaces. Yeah, I agree, Gertrude. Yeah, I agree.
I
I think
actually
there's
started
one.
a clothing line. Cessa has one of my dresses. I was overweight and I started designing African caftans. And everybody kept telling me, you have to focus on the inside to feel good. For me, it was how I looked. So I'm like, no, bullshit. I'm going to focus on this. Putting on my face every morning and feeling good about self. And it's now turned into a clothing line where it's a buy one, give one. So if somebody buys one of my dresses, I gift a dress to another woman in need. And it has to be a woman who's going through a heartbreak, cancer, separation, divorce, is widowed, somebody who's needing to be uplifted. And people can nominate the other woman, or it can be given anonymously to somebody else as well. So, yeah,
There's
we
a
have
comment there on
coming
from Spiwe.
from YouTube. That's for you.
Yeah, it's saying, I know she said she was putting hearts and hearts. Says, absolutely agree with you, ladies. Self-care is also important for parents too. We give all our love and time to our families that we tend to forget ourselves. That's Katya.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing and
Yes.
empowering us. Then beautiful Velvet Peso says beautiful. Thank you, thank you.
I have
Wilhelm.
one question that I ask myself and I ask women to ask themselves, and that is, who are you and what do you want? It may seem simple, but you ask someone, what do you want? Sometimes we don't know what we want. We don't know who we are, but we expect someone else to come in and to know.
Beautiful.
Yes.
You know?
No, but the what do you want is important in the sense that if you can articulate it and write it down, you will manifest it. I ended up having a checklist of the qualities I wanted in my next partner. And I wrote down the deal breakers. He had to be gentle. He had to be kind. He had to be funny. He had to love to learn to dance. The guy I eventually married is from Poland. Had two left feet when I met him. Didn't know how to dance tango, but was willing to learn. So now we do tango every Wednesday. And, he ticked every single box on my checklist. So you have to have those deal breakers because sometimes we compromise and we just say, okay, I don't want to be alone. Just take the next thing that comes. You have to have your deal breakers, ladies, when you're going into these relationships.
That's
And
true.
like you, Katan, when I was growing up, my example of love came from my parents. I grew up seeing it every single day, the way my dad treated my mother. And so on my father's funeral, I actually read a letter that I wrote to my dad, and it was called The First Man That I Have Ever Loved. He showed me what love can be between two people.
Yeah.
So it's been awesome. We'll go on to our next speaker. Thank you so much for coming. If you need to go, I know, Katja, you said you might have to leave
Yes.
early.
But
Wonderful
I'll
to
stay
have
for
you
a
with
bit.
us today. Thank you so much.
Yeah. I'll stay for a bit.
So we will call on Necessa to be the next speaker, and then Kay, you'll be next after Cessa. Wonderful. Selena, take us off stage.
Mm.
And Velvet said thank you.
I don't know why. Oh,
Okay, I'm panicking. Oh,
Just breathe, baby. You got this. Just breathe. And we're here. We're here with you. We're just in the background giving you center stage, okay?
okay.
All right. Love
Okay,
you.
so I caught up with my dear friend. We haven't spoken in a while. Yesterday, I shared with her a couple of things that I have done since we last spoke. I am not a public speaker by any means, so because I have quite chronic anxiety, I'm going to read to you one of those presentations. I presented this in 2000 and around about 2018, I think, when I was asked to share my life story when I was being discharged from a mental health service. So without any further ado, before I faint, I'm going to talk to that. So first of all, I'd just like to introduce myself with in my own language to you wonderful ladies and people. So tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Ko maunga raki te maunga, ko rua mahanga te awa, ko taki timu te waka, ko hurunui o ranga rawa, ko papawai rawa, ko auko te taku marae, ko Ngāti Kahungunu ki Wairarapa rangitāne te iwi, ko Ngāti Kai Paruparu rawa, ko Tūmapuhia rangi oku hapu, ko Hamuera Reiri rawa, ko Sonia Paku oku mātua, ko Narcissa Medvedev, ni reiri taku ingoa, nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. At the time that I wrote this, it was Matariki, which is Māori New Year here in New Zealand. So in regards to that, I will read out my presentation. So a cluster of tiny stars intermittently twinkle as it rises on the northeast horizon. To astronomers, this constellation is known as the Pleiades. But to the Māori people here in New Zealand, it is Matariki. I am here to celebrate Matariki with you all, which loosely translated is the New Year of the Māori. However, it really signifies the celestial signal of an ending and of new beginnings, a time of planting and harvesting, of nurturing both old and new relationships, remembering loved ones, and celebrating togetherness and well-being. Hello again. I'm here to share with you my own personal journey of mental unwellness to wellness, and to bring closure to those first chapters as I continue on in the life journey that is mine, not as a victim, but as a survivor. I am a New Zealand Māori. I am now 52 years of age, and I'm a proud mother of 8 children. My journey to well-being has not been an easy one. As a baby at the age of 1, my dear mother died, and my father was unable to look after me. So I was orphaned and became a ward of the state. As a young child, I was a victim of molestation. I experienced some emotional and psychological abuse. I was 8. However, I do recall some wonderful experiences as a child. Spent horse riding, eeling, rabbit shooting with my foster brothers. Just being a kid where I grew up in a small country rural settlement. My foster family was of European and Malaysian descent, so I lacked in learning my own cultural heritage. Sadly, after 9.5 years, my journey with them ended with the death of my foster father. I was 13. As a young adolescent, I was reunited with my own whānau, and although they tried their best, I still do not know who I was or where I belonged. One happy memory for me was when I saw my father for the first time that I could remember. He was lying in a bed in a Marsden hospital, and I do remember feeling so nervous, scared, and not even sure if I wanted to meet him. He said hello to me and waited. In his hands was a rolled up poster. I sensed it was somehow meant for me. So I asked him what it was. He slowly handed it to me. I unrolled it, and there, staring back at me, was my idol at the time, Bob Marley. Dad smiled at me and said, "I love you, my baby." We hugged tentatively, but with a present like that, well, being a teenager, needless to say, he won me over quite quickly. I went to live with my dad. I enjoyed getting to know him. I fought with him as most teens do, but most of all, I grew to love him. A year after, when my dad was not home, a man came to visit him. I was raped by this friend of my dad's, who turned out to be also a cousin in my whānau. I feel this attack formed a pattern in a way that I would think what I would think and the actions that I took subsequently. I went from being a grade A student at Wairarapa College to an F student. I would act up physically, and I was eventually expelled for assaulting my science teacher, inciting riot, and trying to burn down his classroom. I was lost. I began to sniff petrol and other solvents, became involved in gang activity, smoked marijuana, drank alcohol, popped pills to cover up the pain. I think at this time I proved to be a real headache for my loving sister. I rebelled against everyone, my family, my supports, and the powers that be. Thankfully, salvation was to come for me in another form with the chance meeting of a young island man who I had a relationship with for 2 years. We had a child, but alas, our relationship didn't survive it. I was 17. I chose to keep my beautiful baby, having lost my own mother and having no choice in that. I was determined not to give her up. So with an impending baby, I gave up my constant drinking, partying, smoking, taking drugs to try to be the best mother I could. I chose never to tell my dad of the rape, and I enjoyed having him in my life until his death 7 years later. I was 20. I met another man who fell in love with my daughter and me, and after 6 relentless weeks of trying to woo me, he won. We had a 10-year relationship, of which I had 2 sons and another daughter who was stillborn. 6 years later, I tried again and was rewarded with another son. But by then, reoccurring bouts of unwellness and other circumstances marked the end of that relationship. I was 28. I was now alone with my children, but for a woman with no academic skills, low self-esteem, no money, I needed work. The benefit just did not stretch enough to pay the bills. I embarked on an occupation that gave me the much needed money and allowed me to put up walls to try and protect myself. I entered into the world of prostitution, and at first I felt dirty and ashamed. But after talking with my beloved sister, I realized that I did not need to be a victim and that I could hold my head up. After 6 months, I met and married a man that to this day I can only describe as remarkable and so unique. Maybe it was because he was a foreigner and his country was far worse than ours. He said that we lived in a paradise. My husband, Vladimir, was Russian. He had such a strong presence that seemed to seep out of him to me. He helped me to endure the most painful events in my life that were about to take place. After 3 months of bliss, I was dragged into a custody battle. It was an ugly time. In fact, so ugly that I still have a memory block of that year right up to today. That experience was devastating. I was left with nothing, my children gone. And 1 month later, my baby died while in the care of my ex's big sister. I became psychotic and self-destructive. The depression and grief engulfed me, and I again indulged heavily in alcohol, party pills. I hated the world and all it stood for. Well, my world anyway. My first real contact with the mental health teams was in 1996. So I'd had people try to help me over the years when I was younger, but I would just do as they asked me, let them believe that I had recovered and move on. It was then that I decided to end it. Memories of my son's death and the loss of my other children tormented me. My husband saved me in my early attempts at suicide, where I'd run out into oncoming traffic and binge drink, followed by dangerous behaviour. Those were the bad times. However, something in me clung on to life, and in these moments I went and gained my certificate in music, grade 1, achieved my national certificate in business admin and computer apps, my certificate in desktop publishing. I also went to film school, where I met the lovely Gertrude. Eventually, my husband and I became pregnant, but due to circumstances beyond our control, we aborted. My marriage ended shortly afterwards. I was 32. While holidaying, trying to recuperate from my failed marriage, I met a man with whom I would start my new family. We enjoyed 5 years without incident. Then the feelings of depression took over again. I attempted suicide 3 times during that year. I hadn't even finished the 3rd attempt, and I was planning for the 4th and hopefully final attempt when fate intervened again. I had to take blood tests as a result of my latest overdose at the hospital. This revealed that I was pregnant. I was 38. Now the fight for her or his life was on. I vowed not to kill a child on me and was deathly afraid that if I was pronounced unfit, that my baby would be removed from my care. I fought back and dragged every possible means of support I could in to help me. Doctors, Māori and European, counselling, parenting, anger management, domestic violence, and local support groups. It is here that I would like to acknowledge all those wonderful people that helped me during this time. If any of you are out there, thank you with all my heart. I disassociated from negative influences and began to study again, where I achieved my diploma in Māori mental health, diploma in multimedia, national certificate in makeup artistry, and certificate in small business management. Followed with my first year in hairdressing. I was 41. After many years of living in Wellington, my son, whom had been separated from me during the custody battle, returned home to New Zealand. I believe now that my tupuna, my ancestors, began to call me home. And one weekend I came home to share with my whānau and learning about my whakapapa, my heritage. This, I have to say, was a crucial turning point for me. I learned I had a special place in my whānau and that, yes, I belonged. I had not realised that along with all the other losses, I had lost all connections to myself. So with the return of my beloved son, I packed up my second little family and moved home. But such is the beast, which is depression. Alas, all did not go as I expected, and I found myself disconnected again. I isolated myself, would not take my medication, and turned to playing online video games as an escape. I would not walk past my letterbox and was totally disconnected from reality. My new doctors here became concerned when I did not turn up to appointments for me and my children. My lack of interest in life affected my children as well. I had a meltdown. A woman from supporting family was called, and she came to my aid and supported me during this time. She brought me information for other support groups that she felt might be able to help me. Ultimately, though, the choice was mine. I felt so tired after years of mental unwellness, my growing physical deterioration, and my own lack of confidence in the support systems left me wanting. I finally agreed to their help. I was subsequently referred to whānau order, private counsellor, and other support groups. That was roughly 8 years ago now. With whānau order, they supported me with sorting out my daily life and initially transporting me and my children to doctors. Pathways NZ came on board to assist me with the collection, monitoring, and administration of my medication and transport to relevant appointments. Te Hauora for my gaming addiction and socialising issues. I celebrated my birthday, and a dear friend shared with me that sometimes it takes the right person, the right time, the right place, the right route, and the right medication in some cases, for one to be able to reach that point of wholeness. For me, it has taken people. Life got easier, and I was improving in my wellness and that of my family. I also was finally home after 24 years. Disillusioned and running from reality, from the loss of my love, I moved to Lower Hutt and tried to heal with my older children. But grief continued to roll in and out. Tsunami 1 second, calm sea the next. It triggered my mental unwellness again. I ran from them too and went to Palmerston North to escape everything that reminded me of his death. Anxiety and depression did not leave me. My loving friend and her older children soothed and looked after us. To my friend, I love you. 8 months later, I returned to heal in my hometown to try and pick up again and face my fears. Years have passed, and at the age of 52, I still battle with trauma. Financial and life dramas, everyday stuff too. Never give up. People have been pivotal in my journey of life. So with these wonderful supports that have assisted me, enabled me to stand before all of you, and as a very wise woman and friend said, take back your rākau, Narcissa. I proudly stand before you, ready to go to continue on my voyage into te ao Māori and mental health. I'm going to embrace that knowledge along with my own personal experiences to support and help others like myself to grow together with me in healing and to stay well. My journey started with me and it will eventually end with me. I only pray that I can help to make a difference to all honour and praises to our beloved Father above. I am loved. I am needed. I am well. And like the new shoots spreading from the earth in the new year that have been planted, I am growing. I am Matariki. Kia ora, everyone.
Oh, wow. Tessa, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for gracing us with those beautiful words. You are a powerful powerful woman and a powerful orator.
Very powerful.
So poetic. And
Mm.
I've known you for a long time. I've known the struggle you've had. I admire your courage to talk about these things because a lot of people are suffering in silence. People are scared to talk about mental health issues. And you're standing here giving other people permission to be able to do the same. So thank you for trusting me. What we're trying to create with the HerStory movement is just a safe place for us to be heard, for our stories to breathe. And you can see all of these beautiful women are here with you in love and spirit from all four corners of the earth. That's what this movement is about. We are
Thank you.
holding you, we are with you, and we love you. So let's open up the floor, ladies, and have a dialogue around Sesla's presentation.
Just go around. Can we? Can we go just around?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would just like to say, you came on and you said, I'm a mom, I'm just. And there's no such thing as just a mother. Motherhood, parenting is a big job. But what you've shown this evening again is that you are so much a survivor. You are an inspiration. And your story will inspire so many other women who may be struggling, who may be trying to figure out what to do. So never silence your voice. Know that you have survived what you've survived so that you can be a hands up for others who may be going through the same thing.
Mm. Beautiful. And the
Angela.
next one.
Hi everyone. I'm
Hi.
Angela
Angela, introduce yourself because you've just come in. Tell everybody
Angela.
where you are.
Okay. Hi everyone. I'm Angela here from Singapore. It's about I think it's about 5:41 here a.m. here. So I
Wow.
just I try to sleep early and wake up early for this summit. So and I must say her story is really very amazing, and it has inspired me as well. So later you get to hear my story, but I have to say that she's a very strong woman, and I'm sure that your story will inspire much more to come, beyond this platform.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for sharing. I have a lot to learn from you, ladies, and so far I'm so excited and probably also nervous at the same time.
Thank you, Angela.
Thank you, Gayatri, for having me here.
Wonderful to have you here. We have a comment from Facebook from Velvet saying, "What an amazing story, Cesar." There's comments coming in online. Hey, give us some feedback.
Hi. Can I say something?
Yes, Selena, we'll go.
I wanted to cry. But I thought, a voice says, no, be strong for her. Because she's a powerful and strong person. If I cry, I would have weakened your story. I've weakened you. But I know because you're so powerful, you're so strong. I learned a lot. I thought I had problems. I went through a lot. But, I just, I was, I was dumbfounded. I couldn't speak. I couldn't cry. I couldn't feel anything. You are so amazing and so powerful. And keep on sharing. And then by the way you share it, you are healing inside, you are healing outside. Because the more we talk, we are removing all the toxins from inside us. They go out and they fly away. Thank you so much, Narcissa. Thank you.
Thank you.
Another comment coming in from YouTube. Narcissa, you're a powerful and strong woman with so many people looking up to you. Super proud of you for the excellence you've achieved and the greatness yet to come. It's coming. Thank you. Thank you there, Sifi. Kay, give us some feedback, and then Stella.
Wow.
Hi.
Mic drop. That was phenomenal. And as I said in the comment section, thank you for the courage to share. because a lot of the time we can walk through life and we are silenced in ways that we did not know we were silenced. Sometimes we only give ourselves permission to express ourselves in one emotion. And I felt all of your expression, maybe not to the depth in which you have felt it, but I definitely know that it was powerful for you to share, and your freedom is here. Your greatness is here. And don't try not to silence yourself. My word for the year of this year was volume. And so as you continue to get comfortable with sharing parts of your story that you are comfortable with, know that you are the author or the narrator, and no one can punish you for your past. And just give yourself permission to live free. And I'm excited to even be here with you and to have crossed paths with you. And thank you for sharing.
Awesome. Another comment from Facebook from Velvet. So many incredible accomplishments despite such hardships. So super strong. You're a powerful woman, Cessa.
You always say so.
Stella, where are you coming from? Introduce yourself. I know you sent me a message on Facebook and said, I need to be on this platform. Please include me. Tell us where you're calling from.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm coming from German. My name is Stella Derek Lautmann. Really, I'm so impressed to join you today. You are really a woman of power, all of you. I'm so impressed for Nasi. She's so pretty, you are capable, and you have to know that you are very precious, and you can make it no matter what. And I'm really, really happy to be in this platform. Actually, I feel so excited really today to meet these great women of really I'm so excited. I'm really a bit late, sorry, because I was really seeing like now then I say, oh, I can communicate with Gertrude, so I get really inside. I really appreciate, and I want to encourage you in 3 words. You are special, you are capable, and you have to know you are so, so wonderful. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Stella. Wonderful to have you in our tribe. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much too, really. It's my pleasure also.
We have another comment from Paula. Where did I see it? Paula, do you want to unmute and say something? I know you're there. Paula? I'll read the comment. She said, my God, keeping you in prayer. So Paula was probably just listening in the background. Oh,
and
wow.
From Trina. Trina says, I had to go and I missed your story, Narcissa and others. I'll watch again later. This has been the best evening. I appreciate you all so much.
Wonderful. Paula, we can't hear you, so there must be something wrong with your sound. You might want to drop out of the call and come back in again, and we'll get you to comment when you come back. We're going to move on to the next speaker in the meantime. So we have the beautiful Kay, who is here with us from the US. We are going to exit the stage, and Kay, the stage will be yours in a minute. So give us a second.
No problem. I don't know how I'm going to come back behind all of that power and fire that just went up with all of the ladies, but I'll do my best. I am here to engage you all, so please leave comments in the chat section, in the private chat, on Facebook, on YouTube. I am so excited to be here. I am so excited to share a stage with women who are triumphant and victorious. I definitely want to say that even if you're not speaking, know that your story is still necessary, even if you only tell it to one person. But know that you are, like I told Narcissa, that you are the author or the narrator of your story, and you have the power over your story. You don't have to tell any parts that you're not comfortable with hearing back. right? And that's something that I've learned on my own journey that it's helped me sculpt and create and mold my books, my message, my movement, my business, all in one. And if you don't know me, I am Kay Johnson, the Vibe Master, and I am located in the United States. A free country, but we still have our ups and downs over here as well, and we personally have our internal conflicts that we all go through. And today I want to talk about pain is a new superpower, and how I have become an infinite player, and how you can do that as well. And I want to give you a little story about myself. All right, I'm gonna give you some I guess some statistics, maybe an alarming statistic. It won't be something new, but maybe it may be new for some people. And so with that being said, let's get right into it, ladies. So I want to say that there may be some trigger words here. We will be discussing a little bit about suicide and depression and anxiety. So if that's a trigger word for you, feel free to maybe come back later and listen to this at your own pace. But however, according to the National Institute of Mental Health, suicide is the leading cause of death in the United States, and it is a major health concern. Pain and adversity can be the very thing that initiates their power shift if you allow it. Pain can be so unbearable, but it's the truth that makes us believe that we are weak. Yet it's the power that we stand on for all the tough times in our life and the tough moments in our life. Pain is gained and it creates power. Point number one, if you have your notes or if you're taking notes, you're listening intently, I want you to write down that pain is gained, but it creates our power. What surprises me most is that people aged 25 to 54 here in the United States have the highest rates of suicide. Quite alarming to me. I didn't think that was going to be a statistic. But imagine yourself in love at what it feels like for real this time, for real, not for play, not the puppy love. And everyone tells you that you'll find love, in college. You'll find the real love in college. That magical Disney love that never ends. So you write the perfect love story in your head, in your journal, and, in your heart. But you date the football player who tragically tears his ACL his senior year, and his world's come crashing down on him. But the part that you're in, you're his sunshine, you're his light, you're his purpose in this, because his career, his dream has faded some way in a tragic ACL tear. You go with him to surgery as his knees shake and his eyes bulge with water and his heart reeks of fear. You sit there holding his hand. Before you can look up, you hear him fighting through tears to sing one of your favorite songs that you always sing together. His face is covered with the oxygen mask, and you hear him. Love, so many things I got to tell you, but I'm afraid I don't know how. 'Cause there's a possibility that you'll look at me differently, love. Wow. And now, long after you dedicate love and servitude to his recovery, he graduates college, picks up and moves his things back home, which is over 300 miles away. He ghosts you. And at that moment, you realize that you've always been too invested in the idea of love, and that you've wrapped 70% of your identity in this magical Disney ideology. And finally, you break. This was only the beginning of stepping into your purpose. You find yourself in anguish with the grappling fear of living again. You experience intense depression, and he reappears like nothing ever happened. You try your best to move forward. But the weight of the depression is too painful, and his reappearance in your life is too much to bear. You argue and plead with him to be truthful, but he denies. You tell yourself, I'm going to take care of me, for me, love me, show up for me. You know the positive self-talk you tell yourself after you experience a heartbreak. So right in your college dorm, you choose to meet your end. You tell yourself that this pain is just too much to bear, that no one wants you alive. No one wants you here. You tell yourself this pain is just too much. As he swoops in to save you from yourself, you sob uncontrollably, but you don't realize you just freed your voice from prison. So point number 2, ladies, free your voice from prison. Now, I went to therapy because now I'm viewed as someone who may be willing to harm herself. And they watch over me and began my therapy for the first time. And while you're in college and this is all going on, you learn more about why your identity was wrapped in this relationship and how you can heal, how I can heal and move forward. This is what I learned through therapy. I understand now that my purpose was never to lose identity in people and fairy tales, but my purpose had to be birthed in that adversity. It was the perfect environment for me to conceive who I actually was. So, my identity, I was in desperation of reclaiming me. So I finally started to scratch the surface of my purpose. And so I pursue purpose. And this time, it's not wrapped up in a man, but it's wrapped up in who the Creator has called me to be. The Creator can heal you from self-sabotage. He did for me. The Creator will provide resources to come into your life so that you can fulfill your purpose. The Creator will inspire you to write your book, share your story, own your truth, and be a catalyst for empowered transformation. So the Creator allowed me to face myself. It wasn't the man who led me to my end. It was me. I was my own problem. I was in my own way. I was holding myself in cell number hell. Pain is the new superpower. Pain taught me that purpose has a position in every season. Every season. I no longer play finite games because now I know that my life is infinite. So I made the transition from thinking finitely to infinitely. I no longer play finite games. That game is over. This is a new game, and I am an infinite player. I am Kay Johnson, founder of Inspired Bosses and author of Beginner's Vibe Guide. And I want to ask you, how will you use your pain as your superpower? Because that's the question I had to ask myself. And in this year, I created and gave birth to 2 books, not one, but I did have to go through adversity to find and make my voice heard. I used to always get teased for talking in my agenda book. Like, what's up with that? As if my voice, my words, my thoughts was a nuisance or that it should be punished because I was talking too much. So the teacher said. But who knew today I would be getting paid for the very exact thing that I used to get in trouble for? Now, I'm not sure how it goes in other countries and in other cities and states and provinces, but where I'm from, Humboldt, Tennessee, yeah, you got teeth for talking in your agenda book. And my mom being an educator, she would tell me, stop all that talking. And for some reason, I just want to say maybe that's the reason why I lost my volume for some time. And as I continue to embody who I am every day and evolve with my womb, with my being, with other women, I understand that it's not okay to be silenced. I understand that it's not okay to be quiet when you should speak up for yourself. Self-advocacy is one of my best practices. And one of my power tools has been my morning routine. I have a chapter in my book, Beginner's Vibe Guide. Well, I don't call them chapters. I call them vibes. So excuse me. Vibe number 11. Make your bed. This was my saving grace after hitting rock bottom multiple times. I said, you know what? Something is off. I have to study success. What are successful people doing? Because whatever I'm doing right now, all of these decisions that I'm making out of pain is not getting me anywhere. So what are successful people doing? They're making their bed. Making my bed was one of the things that I didn't even want to do because I was so low in self-esteem, confidence. I was depressed. I didn't even want to blink my eyes. I no longer wanted to be here. There's been multiple times when I should not be alive, but I'm still here today. And yes, I gave birth to these books. And we've talked about relationships this entire time, but relationships have been my most, I guess, the place where I struggle the most. Because when somebody is so close into proximity of our heart, that is how they are able to hurt or offend us. And there's been many times, ladies, and write this down if you're taking notes or put it in the chat. There's been many times where I've had to hear people say or admit their offenses to me that haven't actually said it with their own mouth. I had to visualize it, internalize it for myself. Because if I don't forgive, I don't live. And I would like to share with you all a poem that I wrote at the beginning of my book, Beginner's Vibe Guide, entitled Forgive. It's a short, and I'd like to share it. Forgiveness is one of the toughest and most necessary acts we all must submit to in this life. Forgiveness is the gateway to a more joyful heart, a brighter outlook on life, and a sweeter tone to bear. Forgiving others grants access to the moments in life you need forgiveness for yourself. Forgive those who trespassed against you and those you trespass against. In this life, you will encounter moments where you must forgive yourself and other people who are closest to your heart. The only way someone can truly hurt us or cause pain in our life is by being so close to our heart and our mind. Forgive because you know one day you will not get it right. I know I haven't gotten it right all the time. If you've gotten it right all the time, go ahead and say, I've gotten it right all the time. But if you haven't, put in the chat, I haven't gotten it right all the time. Because you'll be like me. Forgive because you know there is beauty that can be learned from mistakes. Forgive because you know life is too short to walk around being bitter, resentful, and unhappy. Forgive because our Creator is forgiving to you. So one thing I want to leave with ladies here is we've all experienced a pandemic worldwide together. But here's a thought. Most of us have experienced internal pandemics way before our global shared experience in this pandemic. So this wasn't new to us. We've already experienced it, and we have overcome a lot of internal pandemic moments. You survived 100% of your worst days, and you're still here. So you still have purpose. What is purpose? Purpose is the reason you're breathing, the reason why you're sharing, the reason why you feel, the reason why you have children, the reason why you encounter certain relationships, the reason why you start the business, the reason why you start school, the reason why you write the book, the reason. It's the reason. And in that shared reason, we find hope, we find sisterhood, we find community, and you find K, the energy. So no, I don't look at my story anymore with tears in my eyes because I am healed and I walk now in my healing. And I speak that over every woman and man who is under the sound of my voice, that you are now walking in healing Before we enter 2022, know that you are blessed. Your household is blessed. Your life and your seed is blessed. And everywhere you go, every seed you plant, even if it's not an instant return on investment, know that you will, or your seed or your lineage will get that return on investment. And you may never know which way it may come, because we know life. It'll give us pleasant surprises, and other times it won't. But you survived 100% of your worst days. And the biggest room in the world is the room for improvement. So never stop improving, never stop progressing, never stop advancing, never stop being you. And don't forget to always turn up the volume. Again, I'm Kay Johnson, the Vibe Master. If you want to get in contact with me, you can find me at inspiredbosses.com. That's INSPIREDBOSSES.com. Or you can email me at value@inspiredbosses.com. It's been a pleasure speaking, and I can't wait to see what we talk about in the Q&A.
Wow. Wow. Absolutely powerful. Thank you so much, Kay. Your energy is palatable. I can feel it from here. I can touch it. It's in every cell in your body. And you remind me of a mini me. I was that kid who was punished for talking in class. Now I get paid to do it.
Oh, goodness.
But you are truly being a full expression of yourself. Beautiful, beautiful to watch. Thank you. And thank you for all of those lessons. I haven't gotten it right either. So if anybody didn't put that in the chat, maybe you're not telling the truth.
We'll give him a pass this time. Maybe it's, jitters or something.
Cessa, you've got something to say.
I need to make my bed. Thank you. Especially after my corridor, I needed something to lift me. I love your vibe. And I wrote in the comments or something, somewhere, I've had so much pain, so I must be super powerful. Thank you.
Yes.
Love it. Stella, you're lighting a candle for us there. Is that you have something to say? I can see that.
Really? You are the light, Kay.
Oh.
Keep shining. You really impress me so much by your really inspiration, word of power, knowledge, and wisdom as well. God bless you. You are a light. Keep shining, Kay. Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. Yes, sit and take that in, Kay. Breathe that in, baby. This is who you are.
Yes.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you.
Yeah.
Now, I thought when you were saying, my mom is an educator and she thinks I talk too much. Yeah. Wow.
She's like, you need to be quiet in that room. Get it together. You're making me look bad, right?
It's just interesting.
Powerful. That was powerful. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, you were just so expressive and drawing attention, and the way you laughed, and you think, okay, you put some laughter in it and some jokes. Well done. Thank you.
Yes.
So we've got comments coming in from Facebook. Velvet says room for improvement.
It's the biggest room, girlfriend, I promise you.
And Paula, I think, is agreeing with the statement that we were supposed to share there. Me too, she says.
I have not gotten it right, girl. I'd have messed up. I thought I was perfect, but I wasn't.
Angela, you have something to say there. Come on.
Yeah, I truly enjoy your speech, and it truly inspires me. In many areas, I do resonate with you. I'm still a work in progress. I will never be perfect, through your speech, I learned so much, and I must say I learned a lot from you ladies too, and I'm still learning. So I'm so glad to be in this platform and to be connecting with you all, ladies. And it's amazing how I I get to know her through Facebook ads. And so I asked myself, do I want to join in the speaking summit? Then this is my first time being in as a speaker. So yeah, the first time. So pardon me if I'm a bit nervous, but I'm trying. I'm still working in progress. So just like Kay, I want to inspire a lot of ladies too here, and maybe across in my own community and across over everywhere in the world. So keep it up. Kay. Thank you so much.
Awesome, awesome, awesome.
Yes, yes.
Oh, man. Oh, are we ready to move on to the next speaker? We are. So, Angela, you are it. You
Me?
have a decision to make. Do we play your video or do you do it live?
I think. What do you think?
I think you do it live.
Okay, great.
You're here.
So
So we will leave the stage and we're here listening, holding space for you, okay?
thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay.
Hi everyone. I'm Angela from Singapore, and I'm 54 years old, and I'm a single mother with a 27-year-old son. And this is my story. Um, and On the 25th of June, 19 on the 25th of June 1992, my firstborn daughter was born, and her name is Vanessa. And I was blessed to have her with me for 2.5 years. And I'm blessed also to celebrate my 27th birthday and her two and a half, in fact, her second birthday, before she passed away in a tragic death. And for about 5 years, I couldn't forgive myself because it was actually my fault. What happened was I was looking after Harrison, my second born, in the bedroom, and Vanessa was actually in the kitchen using the potty. And the night before, I'd forgotten to remove the potty from the kitchen, and she was actually in the kitchen using the potty. So I was actually inside the room taking care of Harrison, and Vanessa was trying to use the potty. And it so happened that at the point in time, I was boiling cat water um, in the kitchen on the table with an electric kettle. And what happened was, for a split second, I heard scream in the kitchen, and I then realized that Vanessa was in the kitchen using the potty. And fast moving forward, she was actually scalded by the hot boiling water from the kettle in the kitchen on her right thigh. And I panicked, and I didn't actually know what to do at the point in time. Harrison, my son, was screaming, and I know that I'm supposed to actually run her through. I mean, thankfully, it's actually on the right thigh. Um, so it was not something that is I will live for the rest of my life to know that it's actually worse than that. So what happened was I panicked. I didn't actually know what to do. So I actually went to my next door neighbor, who happened to be an elderly lady, and her first response was to bring her to the nearest clinic. So at that split second, I was really, really in shock also what happened. And so I brought her to the clinic, but where I should have actually called an ambulance to bring her to the nearest A&E, to have her actually taken care of. So fast forward, when we brought her to the hospital, she suffered about, I guess, on the right thigh. It was pretty bad, probably I guess about 75% burn, and she was admitted in the hospital for probably about a month, and she was about to be recovered, thankfully. But unfortunately, she suffered from what we call Steven Johnson syndrome, which is severe allergic to a medication. And we believe that it was probably the antibiotics that she took because she had high fever. As you're aware, when a person suffers from burns, they do suffer from high fever if it wasn't taken care of during that point in time. So, and after her passing, I I really couldn't forgive myself because it was really my fault. So I suffered from unforgiveness, and I truly actually wanted to, sorry, I truly actually wanted to take my life because it was truly my fault. And so, but thankfully, through, I believe, God has a purpose in my life. So he actually, um, I was a Christian then, but then I wasn't strong in my faith. How could I? Because it was my fault. And so, sorry. So, through brothers and sisters in Christ, I attended a church in Singapore, which is called the New Creation Church. And my pastor strongly emphasized uh, living by the grace of God. So I find grace in church to forgive myself completely after 5 years. Unfortunately, after 5 years, my marriage collapsed. So that gave me a spiral down, to my a complete defeat, and I lost my self confidence and self worth completely, zero. That I was a homemaker for that period, and I had to find a job. So my self confidence, dropped to zero completely, and I had to, you know, um, I couldn't find myself to go back to work in the office, even though I had a high school diploma. And what I was thinking, I had to probably find the best job without any specialized skills. So I went to become a cleaner or a cleaner at a Singapore Changi airport. So due to the environment, I had to, because I often felt sick during the point in time. So because of that, I went to being a housekeeper, and moving fast forward, there was an incident that actually made me resign because I was actually taken advantage of by one of the supervisor at the no at the housekeeping agency. So I resigned, and like what Kay has mentioned just now, no, we were so busy trying to validate ourselves in relationships. I in fact I couldn't find myself to love myself back. So I try to validate myself in relationships beside from God. Being human, we still need to be loved and to love and to be accepted. So for a period of time I was wondering the wilderness, and I after my divorce, I also went to relationships, but I find that it get me to nowhere. So the last straw on the camel's back was I thought I found a soulmate. And in fact, 2013 to 2015, I was overseas for a period, but it didn't work out. So I came back to Singapore, and that was the pivotal point. And I told myself that, it's time, Angela, for you to, how I should put it, it's time for you to actually uh, invest in yourself. Probably that's a better word. It's time for you to shine. It's time for you to take care of yourself. And so therefore, the first thing I do was to actually learn driving at the age of 49. And when I passed the driving test, it actually, that was the first time that I actually gained my self-esteem back, because I finally believe I can do something. And that's inspired me further to actually go back to college at the age of 50. And that was probably, I'm 54, that was probably three years plus ago, 4 years ago. And I graduated just recently. And because of that, as I realized that I wasn't fulfilled, when I had passed my my final semester for my college, something just spring up in me to say that, hey, is that all to life? So then in January 2021, I started to embark on personal development, and that's where this think about I begin to start to love myself, to find value in myself, to find my purpose in life. And that's how, throughout for this whole year, I've been actively immersing in personal development, from Tony Robbins to Dean Graziosi to Brenda Bashaw, to amazing motivational and inspiring speakers all over the world. And then, of course, even right now, I'm also having a lot of mentors and coaches. And so I believe that the way to actually get ourselves back onto get ourselves back onto the feet is never to give up on yourself. And one thing I learned also throughout life is from my dad. My dad has a great impact. My late father, he has a great impact in my life because in 2010, in fact, that was in 2010, before his 75th birthday, he was actually met with an accident when he was crossing the road. A car knocked him down, and then and thank God, he was very strong. We were able to be with him for about a week in the hospital while he was fighting for his life. And what he taught me throughout my growing up years was never to give up never to give up on yourself. Because even though he has very basic education, I grew up watching my father, literally reading reading the English newspaper. I'm Chinese. I'm a local born Singaporean Chinese. So he was actually reading the English newspaper with a very thick bilingual Chinese and English dictionary, even though he has just basic elementary school. And he, at the age of 21, I can see that, and I witness that he can actually read, the newspapers without the dictionary. So that taught me to actually keep on learning in my life and never to give up on my life. And prior to this second accident he actually had another accident actually when I was 16 years old. He survived that, but this time he didn't because he was 75 years old. So my graduation just recently, I had my convocation in October, on the October 8th, just a few months back. So that convocation was actually for my dad, and he taught me never to give up on myself and never to give up learning. And so this is my story. And I just want to share with you ladies, never to give up on yourself, no matter what situation you're in. And very important is to love ourselves. Self-love, I realized, I learned throughout all this journey, is the most important thing that you can actually give to yourself. Because I've never loved myself, in fact, because I wear very thick glasses when I was young. I was in fact a bookworm. And so that made me kind of like, people kind of validate physical appearance. So because of my thick glasses, I was termed as a bookworm. So because of that, I and for many years, I just didn't like to see myself in the mirror. But as I evolved, I learned to even high five myself in the mirror. I learned from Mel Robbins to learn to high five yourself in the mirror. But when the first time I do that, I cried because this is something that I've never done, and this is something that I learned to really embrace myself and to love myself. Thank you so much, ladies. Thank you for listening.
Wow. 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 I don't have the words, Angela. What you have gone through and come out of is incredible. And I think if there's one thing I would love you to take away today, is to remember that it was an accident. It wasn't your
Yeah.
fault.
Yeah.
So you talked about the accident your father had. It's the same thing. I know as mothers, we want to take full responsibility for our kids. You are blaming yourself for what happened. It was an accident. That's why it's called an accident. It was not something intentional that happened at your hand. So please put that in your heart and replace that from today going forwards. I know it's difficult for a mother to bury her own child. And you shared so much in this presentation. The forgiveness had to start with you forgiving you first.
Yeah.
And you're well on the road to recovery.
Yeah.
Grief is a very difficult thing, and it takes its own time. And if you need more time, that's okay too. Nobody can tell you to get over it. Nobody can tell you that by now you should have forgotten about it. That was your baby, and you hold her in your heart, but it was an accident. If you feel those words coming up in your head that it was my fault, replace it with it was an accident, because that's what it was. I really honor you for sharing this story. The biggest take home that I get from you is the story again with your dad. I had a relationship with my father that was very similar. He was a constant reader to the day that he died. He was always holding a book, enriching himself. And look at what you've done with your life. You took it back to go back to college and get your diploma, get your degree. Incredible. I don't have the words. I just feel so honored that you're part of our tribe, and just know that we have all these beautiful sisters in Tobago and Trinidad and New Zealand and the UK and the US and Germany. We're all here for you. Thank you.
Can I read a comment from Paula?
Yeah.
It says, that's how my dad died. He was hit by a van, but he died instantly.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you, Angela. Let's go
Thank
around the
you.
room, ladies, and give Angela some feedback.
Thank you, Angela. That was amazing.
Thank
And I know
you.
it's painful to just, when you are looking after one kid and you don't have, 4 eyes, you can't be everywhere. And
Thank you.
as Gertrude said, it was an accident.
Thank you.
It didn't happen on purpose. So please forgive yourself. And
Thank
even
you.
forgive your husband if he accused you for saying you killed my daughter. Just forgive him. Just
Thank
send
you.
him love. And I like the way you said, you high five yourself. I followed Tony Robbins, and also, yeah, I do that. So it's okay. Love yourself and give so much love to yourself. Treat yourself well, and don't penalize for it. God doesn't like punish us. He
Amen.
never does.
Thank you.
So thank you all for sharing.
Cesar.
Thank you, Angela. Again, I want to reiterate that you are beautiful. Thank you for sharing. You're another strong woman.
Thank you.
We're all here for you in our tribe, and I feel honored to be part of the tribe. High five, Angela.
Thank you.
Like what Selena said, it was an accident. For example, when I lost my youngest child from my first relationship, he drowned. He wasn't in my care at the time, so he drowned in someone else's care. And for years and years, I said a lot of bad things about that lady. Because in my view, I felt it was an accident that could have been avoided. I've had to rethink, and since the last 2 years, that lady passed away. So I went to her funeral and I stood before her, and actually everybody left the room because they knew that whatever was to take place was to happen. So I stood before her and I looked down at her and I said to her, I forgive you. It was one of the most poignant parts that I've ever had to do. And I said to her, it was an accident. I am so sorry. You loved my son like I did. You may not have gave birth to him, but you fought me for him. So, you know, you must have loved him too. So, Angela, yeah, so much. Love you heaps.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everybody, for your support and encouragement.
Ooh, ladies.
Yes.
You see, people are speechless because of the power of your speech. Hey, have you got anything to share? And Stella?
Yeah, thank you so much. Yet once again, I want to encourage Angela by saying like this. You give us high five, and now I come up with this word: arise and shine, Angela.
Yes.
you.
Yes.
God is
Yes.
with
Yes.
you.
Yes.
Fear not.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You see this when you look, you do like this. Remember this word: arise,
Mhm.
arise, and
Yeah.
shine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Arise and shine.
yeah.
And
Angela,
one of the
thank
things,
you.
okay, go for it, Kay.
Oh, just quickly, just you definitely exercise volume today and don't stop. I know you said something about this being your first
Yes.
speaking. Go ahead, continue to do that and take the stage whenever
Thank
there's
you.
purpose involved, girlfriend.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yes. Yes.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Yes. Yes. I mean, I continue to say there is power in the shared story.
Mm-hmm.
You are never alone. There's somebody out there who is going through something similar, and hearing that you've been through it, that they're not alone. It
Yeah.
is really an inspiration. So every opportunity you get to share your story, know that there's somebody who is thinking that maybe they're the only one feeling like this or going through this, and knowing that other people have been through it, other people have survived. That's powerful.
Thank you.
And there's Paula on YouTube saying she did an amazing job speaking too.
Yes.
And you
Yeah.
see,
Thank
ladies,
you.
the most important thing about speaking is speaking your truth
Mm-hmm.
with authenticity and just being real. A lot of people think that every single word has to be perfect. It's the emotion that you communicate, the speech, that's important. That's what people connect with. I've gone to presentations where I've looked at people who every word, every sentence is perfectly constructed, but they leave me feeling cold. So the place you drop into is just drop into your heart. And if you know to speak from your heart, it transcends everything. You could make a mistake, you could mispronounce words. For some of us, English is not a first language. It doesn't matter. So, absolutely inspiring. And the other thing you reminded me of, Angela, is using a mirror to reflect back to yourself who you are.
Mm-hmm.
When I went through my separation, my ex never called me, never tried to talk. I would try and reach out to him. He didn't want to bridge that gap. And it killed me. I would look in the mirror and see this ugly woman that nobody wanted until I changed it. And I'd wake up in the morning and I'd look at myself and look into my own eyes and say to myself, God, you're beautiful. When I started doing it, it didn't feel right. I didn't believe it, but I kept doing it every single morning, just looking at myself and saying, God, you're beautiful. God, you're beautiful. And then I started to believe it. And then everything changed from there. So sometimes we look for affirmation from outside of ourselves, from other people to say these words to us. We have to say it to ourselves first and believe it and have it ingrained in every cell in your body that this is who you are. And if it comes from outside, that's fine too. But until we believe it ourselves, nothing much will change. So I love the fact that you shared the use of a mirror. Sometimes we just have to reflect back to ourselves what's in our souls, who we truly are. Not many people look at themselves in the mirror. We look, but we don't see ourselves. So thank you. Powerful, powerful medicine you gave us today.
There are some comments on YouTube.
We've
Paula
got,
says, I still get tongue twisted.
so when you're speaking, Paula, just drop into your heart.
And then
And
Velvet
speaking is like playing a musical instrument. Your voice is an instrument. You will never meet a pianist or a saxophone player who will get up and hold a saxophone and just start to play. They practice hours and hours and hours of practice. So every opportunity you get to speak, put up your hand and speak. That's how you get better. That's how you get over the being tongue-tied, Paula. And then Velvet also said something.
We are all so beautiful.
Yes, we are.
Thank you,
Lots of
Velvet.
tears today, but tears of joy evoked by the beautiful Angela in Singapore. You really came just to remind all of us of who we are this morning. Thank you for that. We really honor you for doing that for all of us.
Thank you.
Gertrude, you made me wipe off my Thin Lizzy. Stop it. I wanted to look all pretty today, and now I'm wiping my eyes and wiping off the makeup. Yay.
So, ladies, if you come to the HerStory conference, wear waterproof makeup. I always put more waterproof mascara on my eyes because I cry all the time. But thank you, ladies. What a beautiful session. So Stella, I know you jumped on. Something has inspired you. There is something in your heart that you need to share. Would you like us to give you the stage?
Really, yeah, for today, maybe I can really I feel to encourage. I don't have any, I didn't prepare myself, to be honest, to talk today because it's my first time to be on the platform actually.
Yes.
Maybe next time, because of course I have a lot of stories actually as a woman, women, we have a lot of stuff to tell. So I have to prepare myself so I can share really. Yeah.
All right, we'll connect on Facebook and we would love you to come and share your story.
Yeah, for
so
sure,
we're going
really.
To, move on to our program, ladies. I have a couple of a video that was sent to us by another beautiful sister in New Zealand. Caroline Nevy is an artist based in Christchurch. So we'll listen to her presentation next. Give me a second to cue it up.
Everybody, first of all, thank you, Gertrude, to invite me to be part of this team. And I couldn't hear and I could see like so many beautiful women being part of this circle, and it's just like amazing to be able to tell my story. And so yeah, I'm really glad, and I hope you enjoy what I'm going to tell you as well. There are like two things that I got inspired to talk about, and I think it's like something amazing to share, because somehow we feel like we're very connected, and I think if we know, we learn and understand about like each other, we making our possibilities to understand we are not alone is bigger, and that I think that's it. I think like I believe in Ubuntu. I love it, this idea of Ubuntu, and like Gertrude said, and her research, and how she speaks a lot about like communities to get engaged. But yeah, so that's what I've done my whole life actually. But I will tell you why. I'm gonna explain why, and I'm going to tell a little bit what I passed through, and probably gonna be nice to share and to exchange with all of you. I hope so. So, first, my name is Carolina Neri. I am Brazilian. I have been in New Zealand for 3 years, not long. I live in Australia too, but I decided to come here because I just love it. New Zealand people, and when I was in there, and I say, that's it. Let's go to New Zealand. And my husband liked the idea, so we decided to come here. So I do arts. I love work with arts, and there's so many things you can learn, and so many things about arts is important to share, because I really believe arts can change many aspects of how we live, and how we are, how we understand things, and about ourselves. So that's some conclusion that I had because of my story of life. So I came from not very rich family in Brazil, and we lived in west suburb, and in there I was in contact with so kind of different people, and like very poor people, but it was different than today, because I think today we found like more starving people in Brazil. It is very sad. At the time, people used to share, their places, and my grandfather used to receive people, and he built a little house, and every time he saw someone didn't have like money enough to rent a place or stay in some place, he say, come stay here and you work, and then we get money, we leave and find another place to be. And I think I've grown with this kind of values. So my mom, she's a teacher, retired. She always been part of some movements like Paulo Freire. When she was in there, she was able to be part of so many nice projects with kids, and they learned rights and how to deal with the community, and and my grandfather, he created the first community group, because at the time, Hermelino Matarazzo, the parents they were born, didn't have anything, and he used to bring their doctors, dentists, and theaters as well. Play theaters and teachers. That's something amazing, because he put together some services for community, and they didn't have anything in there. So I'm so glad, because I am a part of this story, and my grandmother always supported him, and she fighted for better schools in the suburb as well. So today they are a very nice place, it's still the richest one, but it's a suburb who people likes and knows how to fight for their rights, and this is something really amazing. So after my grandfather, my grandmother, my auntie, my mom, and my uncle, they have us, the kids, and all of us, we went for some social work. We used to work with something nice. We always thought about something nice to provide for society in a good way. How can we do our part and be part of communities as well? So we always worked for this kind of thing. So talk about it like myself properly. When I was like 13 to 14 years old, I was I went part to the first school of arts that I've participated, and this class was like really changed my way of seeing things, because when I turned 16, 17, I started to have depression. So this is something like I also want to share with you, because I believe many people, they have it and they don't really take serious. Or sometimes people say, so many people in trouble in the world and you're feeling sad. That's something normally you listen to. It's horrible because you feel even worse. And yeah, what happens like sometimes we feel not part of something. I think it was like different than others. But some people could say is a good thing. I think today it is, because I've changed my mind. But at the time when a teenager, something happened to your brain when you don't feel accepted, when you feel like you're not part of something. And I got a very, very bad times in my life, and I got a like being into my room for like 3 days. I didn't want to eat. I didn't want to see lighting. I didn't want to see day. And I wanted to stay in my room crying. It was really hard for me at that time. And then my mama, she took me to so many doctors and psychiatrists and psychologists as well. And I've been part of so many different kind of theories, and I know so many theories. And sometimes people react to somehow, and I say, oh, this is something connected with, like, I don't know, Freud would say blah, blah, blah. Because, like, it's just something about when I was a teenager and I grow listening, like, how I could improve myself. And I felt that I was like, I wasn't intelligent and smart enough to get something really nice in my life. So I passed through this kind of, bad times for so long time. And after some take medications, and I stopped it because it was never good enough for me. Always feel like my stomach was bad and like my body reacted so badly. And I say, you know what? I will try to live with that, because, that's not my thing. I have to deal with this kind of thing. So then I started to understand the way of painting, how I could paint and put myself, my feelings, my emotions on the canvas. And it really, really make me feel better. It still make me feel better, but it made me a lot of when it's just like you don't want to talk about it. It's really hard because you don't really know, even when you're younger. And so when you start to do art, you realize you can talk. You start to realize you can change things. So I decided, after some time, I will teach art in this way. I want to show people we can help ourselves. We can change through the arts, and that's what I've done. So, but it took a really long time. I'm still like, depression is not just something you just like get over and make here or day a rainbow. It is something I have to deal with. So I still had to go to a doctor. Was like Eduardo was really helpful. He gave me medication for 1 year. Then after that, I decided to stop myself. What is really bad, is really wrong. But I didn't have anything really, really complicated. I mean, I didn't have like the very bad depression that I used to have before the medication. So I started to teach, and say, look, I know how we can talk. I know how we can share. I know how it's possible to connect to each other, without to talk properly. And then I start really I thought like homeless in Brazil and poor communities. The last work I've done with Juvenal Pereira was a very, very important photographer in there. We did some work with this favela, this slum, the suburb that I used to live close to this place, and was amazing to went back there and see and talk to people and to do this work. We made like a very nice work in arts. It was an sculpturing. It's another story I have to tell, but I don't think so. You have time enough. It's so many things I would share, and I would like to maybe to invite you to be part of it. But maybe I would be glad, like, if you feel interested to do it. So after a long time, you think about like that I didn't want to have like a family, or I didn't want to have anything, because I was very engaged with like activism, and I say I want to do that. That's what I'm gonna do. And what happens, like I've met my husband, Ricardo. We made Maria, and married, and he came to New Zealand. I can say Maria was the best thing happened to me ever. She's turning 4 this year, and she's my little gift. And today I'm an artist. I'm doing some classes online. I'm teaching here as well. I'm teaching gifted kids, and I love that, because I think something I feel I understand them, because it's really hard to understand a kid when they are different, and I was different, and it was horrible for them. But today I see them as like X-Men. They are superheroes, and they have to understand that. Don't feel bad, because it's really hard to understand, to do this kind of thing. So I did like one of the best for me, the best university in Brazil. It was not easy to get there. It was São Paulo University, and I say, you know what? I'm not that bad. I am able to do things. So yeah, today I'm doing many arts, and I would like to share with you. I hope you get in touch, and that's it. There's so many stories to tell. It's one of mine. Thank you.
You're muted.
Okay, I was just checking if everybody's back.
Yes.
Another powerful story, and there's a theme that is running throughout the day. The whole issue around mental health. So, Carolina, you found a way to express yourself through art. I know, Necessa, you are an artist as well. You might want to talk about how you use your art as a way of expression, because sometimes words don't do it. And you have to find an outlet for whatever it is you're going through. So Carolina was very anxious about this presentation. She doesn't even know that I'm playing it. She had told me that she's going to create another one and another one. I'm like, this is a really good presentation. And like you can see, English is not her first language. She speaks Portuguese, but she came across really well. So never let the whole language barrier get in front. So let's give Carolina some feedback, because I want her to come and present live maybe tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. Starting with you, Selena, we'll go around the room.
Yeah, that was, I mean, it's quite an amazing story, but it ended up very, like very refreshing when she fell in love and had a baby and she has an angel, as she says. So it's like, okay, the beginning was tough. And I applaud you for saying no to medication, no to, because like here in the UK, if you are in depression, you get money from the government. And some people end up just using that and they don't want to get out of it. So she said, no, I've had enough. They helped me to a certain stage. So no more. That's power. Because some of us would think, okay, the doctors know it all. They love me. They are concerned about me. But it's not always the case. We have power. We have authority over our own selves. As children of God, I know that if God says, I've given you dominion over everything, your health is in your hands because God says you are healthy. So there's no point why we say, I can't do this. I had somebody I knew she had was taking medication for depression. And I said to her, you can be well. Why are you doing that? She says, if I do that, the government won't give me money for a while. It's like, what? You're just throwing your life away just because you want for free money. And that's the mentality of other people. So I say, Caroline, well done. Keep it up. Thank you for sharing your story. Beautiful story.
Angela.
I like her story too. In fact, I felt that she did the good thing not to take medication because, like for me, during a point in time when I was at my lowest end, it just came naturally. Tears are my healing point. I thank God for that. I've never been into any medication, and that is to immerse herself in art is a good way of healing herself. So I like that. I like her story very much. It's very inspiring because like I said, medication is never the solution to it. For me, it's tears. I just healed through tears by God's grace, and it's just let the tears flow. And I never taken any medication. I never believe in that because I believe there are some side effects. So uh, her part in immersing herself in art to express herself is a good way of healing. And I want to thank her for sharing her story. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Angela. Stella.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much once again for giving me a chance or a platform to speak a little bit. I really appreciate for Caroline to share with us her story. For me, it gives me a positive vibe. I can say like that because always sharing, it's really open more our eyes to understand the scenario, situation of someone, and we can learn more from other people. So for me, really, I really appreciate for Caroline to share with us her story, and it gives me a positive vibe. Like, okay, we know there's a medicine. I really thank even for my sister who really said, like, we take already authority or dominion. So sometimes, to be honest, I'm also a person who really I believe like this. Like usually, changing is start from myself or inside me, not from other people how they say, how they think, or how they see. So really, the story of Caroline, it gives me a positive vibe to march forward as a woman, to stand strong, and to understand everything is possible if you believe. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you. Etienne.
I'm sitting here and I'm wondering, if this existence that we have as human beings, that we're supposed to lean into pain because we resist pain, but yet so much comes out of these painful experiences. I'm yet to hear someone say, I was the happiest in my life, and this was the best time ever in my life, and this is what I learned. It's as though when things are good, we tend to settle and we tend to not change and grow as much. But somehow when we are challenged, that's when we find the strength to be who we really are. And that is what I keep hearing from story after story. Something has happened, and because of that thing, that moment of darkness, we kind of are reborn. Is that we go into this cocoon and we come out even better. So it just makes me wonder about where we position pain, or where should we position the rough times in our life, and really start looking at them as, what is the opportunity in here? What has this come to teach me?
Yeah. Beautiful. Cesar.
Is it Carolina?
Carolina, yeah.
Um, well, first I got stuck. I'm a lover of accents and other people's cultures, so I got entranced by her accent, and it took me a little while before I actually listened to what she was saying. And I picked up things with the medication and stuff. I was also, many years they would try different medications on me, but I would abuse them because of the state of mind I was in, and very suicidal. So I used them as a means to dull pain, to try and take myself out of the equation, stuff like that. And it took an awful lot to leave it alone, but I did. Um, I applaud you being an artist, because I too have dabbled in different sorts of art. At the moment, and also to help me find alternative ways of dealing with my mental wellness or unwellness. At the current, as I spoke to Getru yesterday, I learned to weave harakeke flax, and also to make kurawais, if any of you are aware of what a kurawai is here in New Zealand. It's a cloak that the Māori make. It has healing qualities. It has uplifting qualities. It was worn originally by our chiefs in history. It was a mark of respect and honour. Well, I'm actually making one for mainly in tribute to my only and older sister, who is currently, she hasn't got many months to live. So I am making it in tribute to her. And because as you might have heard me talk about my kōrero, about Bob Marley, Rastafari, it is actually in that theme. So the cloak is made of red, gold, and green, and black, and feathers, and harakeke, which is natural to our New Zealand environment. So yeah, like you, I use art to help myself, and which in turn will help my family as we move forward. And in the event, my sister said something really lovely to me about 2 days ago, because we talk daily, and she said to me that I panicked because I said to her, I don't know if I'm going to finish it before you pass away, and she was like, my baby, calm down. She said, I tell you something. If you don't finish it, it's okay. She said, but I know you will finish it. And she said, and when you do, put it on. And she said, it'll be like I never left you. So applause to you, Carolina. Art is a beautiful thing, and again, thank you for Gertrude for letting me be a part of all this.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, ladies. And we've got Velvet, another artist who's a musician. She's on Facebook. She said self-expression is potent therapy. So we should express ourselves in whatever way we can. Wow, so that is the end of day 8 of the Her Story Online Summit. I thank you, ladies, for holding space for each other today, for allowing these stories to be heard. Without the ears, the stories don't exist. They say that if a tree falls in a forest and nobody sees it, did it really fall? So that's why we always have a panel to be here, to listen, to take in these words and let the stories live. Have a fantastic day, evening, morning, wherever you are in the world. We'll be back again tomorrow. If you want to be part of the panel, please send me a message on Facebook. I will send you the link. Join us every morning. We have 2 more days to go, and we really appreciate you being here to hold space for these amazing women who are stepping forward to tell their stories. Bye for now,
Bye,
everybody.
everyone. It was
Bye,
nice.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye
Bye.
bye. Bye.
Bye. How are you, Katie?